Morning, all. All right. So, what's going on today? Well, starting at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, the draft lottery. So it's two picks instead of three picks. So yeah, it's going to be fun this year. We'll see who wins it. It's the last time where all the teams that are in the draft lottery could potentially draft first. That changes next year. So yeah, we'll see who wins that tonight. So again, I've mentioned we have the live stream coming up on the channel to get ready for the draft lottery, and we'll go through the draft lottery, and then I'll have to shut her down because at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, the Winnipeg Jets are at home against the Montreal Canadiens to start that series. For Winnipeg, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. There's going to be 500 in attendance, all healthcare workers. And yeah, so that's where we're at, is that the Winnipeg Jets are at home against Montreal in game one. Keep in mind games 3 and 4, which are in Montreal, back-to-back nights. So yeah, it should be a fascinating series between one that swept their opponent and one that came back from 3-1 down. And I never really completely write off the Montreal Canadiens. So while I'd probably have worn a Jets jersey, I don't write off the Montreal Canadiens. So I'm staying out of it in terms of who I think is going to win today in the playoffs. And then at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, so 2.5 hours after that, we get into the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. So Colorado, who won game one handily, I do not think they expect to win every game in the series by a score like that. But it showed that Colorado is an excellent team, why they've been called a contender all year, and they can give Vegas fits. The thing is, Vegas did beat them during the regular season as well. Their regular season matchups weren't that lopsided. I know the playoffs are different, but Vegas also has a lot of playoff experience, so look for a bounce back tonight. And for the record, Marc-Andre Fleury was glad to get the rest. These guys have played a lot of games. They're goaltenders who've played a lot of games. They're banged up. And so Fleury appreciated the rest. Leonard will be the backup tonight. And that's just, you have to get Fleury rest. I really don't think if Fleury was in the net for game one, the result would have been any different at all. So you not only got him rest, but you kept him out of whatever that mess was in game one. And now for game two, they get to try to change that narrative. Lindsay Finalists were revealed this morning. This is, of course, voted on by the union as to who they feel the best player in the league is. And the votes are for Crosby, Matthews, and McDavid to be the final three. So McDavid's going to win this. He's also going to win the Hart. And it is interesting because, of course, all three players are out. All three players are on teams that you could say maybe need a little bit of help with the depth. And yeah, again, we'll see if any of these three. I mean, Crosby's had 3 Stanley Cups. I think he'd like another one. And McDavid and Matthews would love to have a Stanley Cup. So yeah, it is interesting how very often the award winners are not Stanley Cup winners. And I've pointed that out with the Vezina, with other awards in the past, how very often the team that wins is the best team. They may not have the individual superstars and the big name recognition of the other teams, but they find a way to pull it together at playoff time and win the games. Jacob De La Rose signs a 3-year deal with Färjestad of the SHL, so he's going home to Sweden. It was an up and down time for him as an NHLer. Understandable that he's exiting the Blues to go home and play in the Swedish league, and all the best to him. So that's probably the end of his career in the National Hockey League. But yeah, all the best to him. Rick Tockett has had a second interview with the New York Rangers. Second interview tells me there's some interest on both sides. Tockett would be an interesting pick for the New York Rangers because, of course, what we saw in Arizona was there were times that he was able to get wins out of a team that maybe shouldn't have won those games. But also it feels like, and whether that's the case or not, guys score less with him as the coach, that he coaches the defensive side of things so much that I think at times it hurt Arizona's attack. So for New York, a young, exciting team that's known for, all those goals they scored against Philly as an example, having Rick Tocchet behind the bench could actually cause those totals to come down a bit. But does that lead to better team success if he's able to coach the defense, the goaltending, and this system that he had in Arizona, maybe with a better roster in New York than he had in Arizona. And I'm not saying that it is or isn't. I'm just saying if it does turn out to be a better roster, maybe that gets him the success he wasn't able to find with the Coyotes. So it'll be interesting to see if they do pick him or if they pick somebody else. Mark Borviedski, who has been, basically viewed as a hero after what happened in Vancouver last year, where, you're going to mug somebody, not with Borviedski around. He's literally Borocop. So Borocop is now opening up and revealing that this past year he's been struggling with his obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. And he's been struggling most of his career with it. We talk a lot about, the mental health side of things. OCD can be crippling. I've known people that it's absolutely crippling in their lives. And so it can be the butt of jokes. And it's something that can be hard to understand if you've never struggled with it. But it can be struggling. It can really affect every area of your life. So the fact that he's coming out and talking about it is fantastic, because it means for other people who are dealing with it, they can, say, oh, well, if he's dealing with it, then, I don't have anything to be ashamed of, with me dealing with it. So good on Borviedski once again for coming out and kind of being the hero in this, and all the best to him. Hopefully he's able to put that behind him, deal with that as best that he can, and that his career will continue next season without any issues from that. But it can be absolutely crippling. Jeremy Swayman, Boston Bruins backup goaltender, may very well be the starter tomorrow night, as Rask's been dealing with some injuries, some nagging injuries. And it makes some sense, because again, the schedule that the players have been playing, it is pretty rough, and so it makes sense that Rask's been dealing with nagging injuries. Normally, when you're in a series like this, I would say, I don't know that I like that, but Swayman's been excellent, so I really don't have any reservations as a Bruins fan to the idea of Swayman being the goaltender for the Boston Bruins in tomorrow night's game. I think that'll be absolutely fine. I kind of look forward to seeing it. I think it also gives the Islanders a bit of a different look than they've had in the first couple of games. Swayman's an excellent goaltender in his own right, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. Speaking of how things are going and injuries, Vinny Trocheck last night collided with Warren Foegele and exited the game, came back briefly in the third. Didn't stick around in the third period, though. Rod Brindamore, when he was asked about it, just says it doesn't look good. So it doesn't look good means he's probably not playing in Game 3. Now, Carolina's already down 2-0. The Canes are already in major trouble. Losing Trocheck would be just massive. Trocheck's been fantastic for the Carolina Hurricanes this year. Losing Trocheck would be a real blow to them. So we'll see. We'll see how long he's out, whether or not Carolina can rally and pull themselves a victory tomorrow. But yeah, I'll be here to report on that. And of course, I'll be reporting on the games tonight when they take place as well. But yeah, like I said, we've also got the draft lottery. So busy day. All right. Let me know your thoughts regarding any of these items. Don't forget to let us know who you think is going to win the games tonight. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe as well. I know all these instructions, right? But yeah, if you guys could do all that, that'd be great. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.